Hi everyone, Misilla here, Learn to Grow. I hope that you guys are having a great weekend. It is such a beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. It is a perfect time to show you how to turn your kitchen waste into compost, along with other sources such as yard trimmings, fall leaves, and I'll go over all that with you guys. So you can start your compost in compost tumblers like these ones here, also or in a pile. So it's kind of up to you. I actually love having the compost tumblers because they keep everything in and critters can't get in there. And also when the weather warms up, the compost will finish faster than it would in a compost pile. So I'll go over what I'll be putting in here today and go over some more details with you guys. So first I'd like to show you the compost tumblers that I have. So down here is called the Back Porch Compost Tumbler. I'll give you a closer look. This one is 37 gallons. This is another compost tumbler, and this one's 80 gallons, and I have a black one back there is also 80 gallons as well. What I love about this Back Porch Compost Tumbler is that it is compact and it actually has wheels, so you can move it around instead of scooping out your compost when you have finished compost. Now I still love the big compost tumbler, but I just love how manageable this Back Porch Compost Tumbler is. And this is by Mantis, as well as the big one here with the hand crank. So now let's go over some things about composting. Now to make your compost, you will need your nitrogen and carbon sources. For nitrogen, you can use your vegetable fruit scraps, spent coffee grounds, just no meat or dairy or any oils. And for your carbons, you can use some fall leaves. Got a bucket here. Other carbon sources are shredded newspaper or cardboard, dry grass clippings, straw, sawdust, and I will list all the sources down below in the description box of this video, so make sure to check that out if I missed any. So for the ratio of your carbon and nitrogen sources, I usually put 2 carbons or 2 buckets of carbons to 1 bucket of nitrogen. I just want to make it simple. And for some reason, if your compost pile is too wet, you can add more carbon. If it's too dry, you can just add more nitrogen. Now, what happens is when you add this into your compost pile, the microbes will use these and feed off them for energy and to grow. And in a few weeks or months, you will have nutrient-dense compost. You can also add some eggshells. However, they will not contribute to the nitrogen and carbon, but will supply your compost with calcium, which aids in building the cell walls of plants. Now, I do have some finished compost already, but since I'm currently not using it, I'm going to continue to make more just by adding my nitrogen and carbon. Now, if you'd like to make compost faster, what you would do is add all your carbon and nitrogen all at once and do not add any more. And if it's warm enough during the spring and summer months, you can get finished compost in 2 to 4 weeks, as long as you are aerating it by spinning it daily or every other day. Aerating your compost pile or compost in a tumbler properly can prevent excess moisture buildup, as well as anaerobic bacteria, which can give your compost pile a foul smell. All right, let's go ahead and add our carbons. I've got 2 buckets of carbon. So these are some kale seed pods, and if you're using paper or cardboard, the smaller they are, the faster they will break down. So you might want to shred your paper or tear your cardboard into small pieces. And then I'll go ahead and add my nitrogen, and then we'll add some more carbon. Got some spent coffee grounds and some banana peels, orange peels. And I've got another bucket here of carbon. This is fall leaves. Now let's close this up and give it a few spins. So this tumbler has grooves that you can hold on to when you spin it. And also want to point out that it has a couple of these aerators on the side, as well as on the bottom. I'll show you after you spin it. There's the other aerator here. So this one drains the excess moisture if there's any. Now let's take a look. So looks good. Looks like it's all mixed well in there. Now the great thing about having an existing pile of compost in there is that it already contains microbes that will help break down the carbon and nitrogen that I just added. Now, if you're starting a brand new compost pile, you will need to add a couple of handfuls of garden soil or compost, and that will introduce microbes in there that will help break down all that organic matter. A good moisture content is 40 to 60%. If it's too dry, it can reduce the microbial activity and can slow down the decomposition process. And if it's too wet, it can lead to a buildup of anaerobic bacteria and can produce a foul smell. So I have this 3-way meter, and it can be used to check moisture, pH, and light, although I've only used it to check moisture, and I got this from Amazon, so I'll leave the link below. So let's go ahead and stick this in there. Zoom in here. So that looks good right in the middle there between the 4 and the 6. So that's about 50% moisture content. Now, since we are in the middle of fall and almost winter, things will break down slower. And when the temperatures dip below 40 degrees, the decomposition process will stop. Now, they'll break down between 60 degrees and all the way up to 140. Even some compost pile in the warmer months can get up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. I just accidentally stepped on some puffball mushrooms. So these are the mushrooms where they release spores and it looks like dust, and it's actually bad to inhale it. But anyways, the optimum temperature for your compost or your organic matter to break down is between 120 to 135, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And any seed weeds and pathogens can be killed if the temperature is at least 135 degrees. So again, right now things are going to break down slower, and I probably won't have any compost ready until about April, May, which is fine because that's when we start gardening anyway. So just remember, every time you add new organic matter, give it a spin. So if it's once or twice a week, it's a good idea to get some air in there. And when the weather starts to warm up, things will break down faster for you. I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not composting yet, I encourage you to do so. It reduces waste and you get free organic compost that you make yourself. So what's more rewarding than that? And your garden and your plants will be happy. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Enjoy your weekend and happy gardening, and I'll see you on the next video. These are the puffball mushrooms that I stepped on, and if they are disturbed or if you move them, the spores come out from the hole on the top. Oh, see that? I've heard from a few people on Instagram that they are edible before they start to form those holes, I guess, but always do your own research before consuming any wild mushrooms, because a lot of them are poisonous. So this is our in-ground compost pile, and I'm just using this old garden box to contain it. This side is actually finished, and it took about 9 months, maybe even 12 months for this pile to be done. When you do your pile on the ground, it'll take longer just because the heat is not retained like it usually is in the compost tumblers. And this side is obviously the newer pile. I've got some straw from the chicken coop, and also I think I have some shredded newspaper in there and some yard trimmings. Thanks again for watching, guys.